I'm Larry St. Clair. I'm here in Austin, Texas. We have two different operations that we run. So we run a brick and mortar martial arts and personal training facility. It's called Martial Way Legacy. It's right off of 183 in Peyton Gin in Austin. And then we also have an online training program that we host, and that is called Core Concept Coaching. And that allows us to basically cross the streams between many different arts and pick up what we like to call specialty training programs, which is something we feature at conference. That's usually something that's very fine-tuned and specific to a scenario or certain variables in that scenario that we can spend time and effort on in a class and then offer it for people to be able to go back and review and train at home. Yes. So where it all began. So I had moved up to Austin right around the age of 9 or 10. And my mom was working a couple of jobs to provide for us. It's kind of during the recession back then. And I was this chunky, overweight, husky, size 40 jeans kiddo with zero eye foot coordination. Like I was the kind of kid that they would hand me this thing and say, it's a football. And then hold it like this, run that way, right? Now my tenacity would bring in three guys dragging, behind me into the end zone, but I couldn't catch or hand off or do anything if my life depended on it. And running and dribbling a soccer ball wasn't happening. And my dad tried to teach me to play baseball, and that didn't work out well because one hit my nose and the other one hit my shin, and I was done, right? So all odds essentially were against me until a gentleman had walked into our video store and saw me sitting there watching, of course, martial arts movies, right? And he offered to give me a free month of private lessons. And after that, I was kind of hooked. So I started in Muay Thai Taekwondo at around age 10. I was one of the earliest probably bloomers into what a lot of people know now as Muay Thai or Thai boxing from Thailand. So I started that when I was about 12. Had a lot of friends training in different arts. And so we'd kind of get together on the weekends, spar, mesh it up, mix it up, and figure out what worked for us. And that kind of led me to Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, which is essentially a systematized approach to training, but it's in an effort to help you liberate and find your own method, what works for you. And that gatewayed me into Indonesian martial arts and Filipino martial arts and so many other arts. So starting from the time that I was 10, I've now had about 40 years training. And I've been teaching and sharing the arts since I was about 14 or 15. So call that 36 years, something like that. And it's been a big blessing. So it's been my direction calling for a long time. Changing people's lives. I absolutely love when the light bulb comes on. Sometimes I get the biggest blessing to essentially see people. If you remember Christmas Story, which I chase, and it's like, when he finally plugs in the lights and boom, it all glows. And that feeling is so powerful, right? Both for the student and for the instructor. And so when you have that light bulb effect, I think it makes it amazing. Doesn't matter how tired or how sore I am. I mean, I end up running lessons and classes that start at 6 a.m., do all the way till probably 11 a.m. or noon, and then roll back into the school and start at 4 p.m. and go through part of the nights. Come back home, take care of the family, and rinse and repeat every day, and mix it up with some canoe racing and rucking at the same time. So it keeps me fueled because I know that I'm making a difference. Ages ago, when I had the school and it was just kind of in its infancy, I was running an advertising firm. And so I did that for about 7 years on my own, had a graphic artist network, had the firm itself, and I was doing really well. But the calling really started happening around that time period. I was competing in martial arts, and email after email after email was coming in from students. Thanks for helping me lose 10 pounds. Hey, thanks for helping me sleep better at night. Thanks for changing my direction. Thanks for giving me a positive outlook on life, et cetera, et cetera. So I used to have this binder that was about that thick of all those printed emails. And anytime I got a little tired or my patience wavered or whatever it might be, I just flip open that book and read those, and it kept me fueled. And I don't have that book anymore because I'm just filled, right? Like I just constantly think back to that. And so every time I hear one of those, it just keeps me going. That's like a very spot on question. So I try to describe it to my other instructors, my peers, right? My people that are here that teach, even my student body. And my student body gets it when they participate in a special training event like we had recently, the Mars Southwest camp, where you've got instructors coming from all around to teach. You've got instructors all around coming in to train. And then you've got students that are coming in to train, right? So they get this interesting leveled experience. And what's great about it is it refuels you, right? Once again, it's kind of like getting away from all the distractions in life and then walking in and having a purpose for 3 days to a whole week, right? Depending on how long you're there. And it's the most amazing thing. So for me as an instructor, going there, it's like, okay, I have a little prep work to do back here for the school, but for the most part, I'm all in, right? I get to see people, some of the ladies I only get to see once a year, right? But I get to see them again and we get to train and we have so much fun. And I have a lot of repeat offenders. I always give them a hard time, like they need a punch card, frequent flyer miles because they're doing another Larry course, right? But overall, the experience is worth it because there's nothing else that matters. And sometimes that during life we get these distractions, right? These speed bumps, these pitfalls, things that get in the way. It could be health, it could be finances, it could be job, it could be family, it could be whatever. But while you're there, you're so invested and so focused, it's amazing. And by coming to conference, whether you're an instructor or a student, you get refueled, right? You get a sense of purpose and you get a sense of what you need to go back and work on, right? Which is super important. As most of the ladies could probably agree, it's been a little while since you've gone to the range or you've picked up a new tool to practice with, right? You get out there and it's not the same as the old tool, or you're not doing as well as you once did, or if you're just new to it, you can't expect to be the best, right? But everybody at conference will fill you up with so much positive energy that you'll feel like you can go back and be the best, right? You'll feel energized. You'll feel that sense of purpose again that you will get to the range and you'll start practicing, or you'll practice a dry fire at home, or you'll seek out some other training and get some more hand-to-hand combatives training like what I like to teach. So coming to conference is the best recharger ever. The first thing is that power of like positive mindset, right? We talk about that a lot in my classes. I try to give a lot of mental nuggets to get them on the right frequency, if you will, and get them thinking the right direction. I want to empower every student. So it doesn't really matter what topic I'm teaching at that point. It's all about getting their headspace right. And I know that if I can send them home with that, they'll keep training, right? Second thing is we got to have fun, right? Almost every course you go to with firearms has got tons of SOP, tons of guidelines, tons of rules, as it should, because we're looking at safety. My classes typically have just a couple of general rules to keep each other healthy and safe. And then after that, let's just jam out and have a good time, right? So I think a lot of the women enjoy it because it's kind of like that breath of fresh air when you go in and it's just everything's been so regimented as it should be. But now it's relaxed a little bit. It's like, whew, nice big breath, right? And everybody's excited to get in there, which is cool. As far as topics, I typically weigh in on a lot of combatives. So over the years, I started teaching knife defense and knife offense, which was great. We did flexible weapons. We did improvised weapons. We've done some classes on like urban ambush assault, which is I'm wearing a satchel, purse, backpack, something like that. And somebody grabs a hold of me. What do I do? We've done the ground zero course, which helps you escape from when somebody's on top of you or holding you down. The list goes long, but these are really amazing specialty topic programs, like I mentioned earlier, through core concept coaching that we like designing. And honestly, we usually beta test them on y'all first, right? I do them with some of my students here in house just to make sure that we like the flow of it and the way it's progressing. And I practice it with different level students. So I see how they learn it, make the adjustments, and then bring the outline in conference. And so this year, the excitement is I'm back to knife, which is a huge passion of mine. So my instructor shares the same passion. I think it's the number one thing that we should all be concerned with over anything, because you grabbing me is one thing, you trying to pin me down is another, me having to deal with more than one opponent is another. But when there's a weapon, and especially a blade, it's scary, right? And so there's a seriousness that comes out with it, but there's also fun because as we practice with the training daggers, we're poking each other a little bit and we're learning, okay, well, the more I die here, the less I die out there, right? And so having that level of understanding and understanding certain parameters, they're really, really important when it deals with edged weapons is phenomenal. So this year, we'll be hitting that, and I'm excited to be back and actually teaching knife again. So it's a big win for me. I think overall, most people, I'm just hoping they go back and keep practicing, right? I'm hoping to give some type of empowerment so that they'll go back and do it. If it's my class stuff, great. I would love that, obviously, because I shared it with them. But I see a lot of amazing classes at conference, and it would be wonderful if they go back and keep practicing those things. We joke about it in my classes all the time. I've been to plenty of motivational conferences and stuff, and almost every person gets up there. I mean, I think even Tony Robbins does it. It's like, what's one thing that you're going to go back on Monday and implement, right? Where you spend like 2 or 3 days at some of these conferences and you go, well, I like this, I like this, I like this, and I like this. So what am I going to do? Right. And so I think that that's a big question. Right. And so the number one thing is go back and hit the start button right away. Right away. Don't wait. I know you'd be tired. You probably drove a million miles. You flew and dealt with whatever we're dealing with right now at the airport or delayed flights or whatever it could be. We're all exhausted. I'm tired today. I just did a canoe race. It was almost a marathon yesterday. It was 25 miles. Right. But I'm not going to take a day off, right? The days are precious. Time is precious, right? So I'm going to get back and do what I always do, which is train and teach and share and start prepping for the next canoe race or the next ruck, which is this weekend, right? So the idea is that that time is precious. And so if we kind of, I don't want to use the term squander it, but you know what I mean? If we kind of, I don't even want to say waste it, but you could look at it both ways, right? So don't allow the sand to slip through your fingers, and make sure that no matter what, you get to practice right away. Don't wait for Tuesday or whatever the next day is that once you're back after traveling, like get on it ASAP, because that will help calcify some of the knowledge that you have in your brain. And that will help you use the fuel that everybody gave you to light a fire. And that fire starts small, but eventually it gets to be an inferno. And then you'll spend every day training and developing a lot of the skills that you learn at conference. You'll start looking further into more skills you can bring in and absorb. And then the best thing, here's the best thing. You will motivate all the ladies around you to do the same thing. And that's where the power in the community really is. So everybody needs to become a Duraflame log after conference. Make it happen. This is almost an echo and piggyback of what could I do after conference, right? It's essentially consistency, right? The first problem that we usually have is we have this spark or we have this idea to do something, and then maybe we don't take the next step, which is to start looking at what it would take to do something. The second issue kind of comes into where we get paralysis by analysis and we're like overanalyzing every step possible, right? So therefore, we're not getting into action, right? So you need to definitely, hey, what am I going to do? I'm going to work on this. Okay, great, right? After that, what you need to do is start looking at what steps you need to do, right? Okay, where can I plan that on my calendar? Or who should I go see about that? Or where do I need to go to get more of that? Okay. And then, of course, the big one, like we mentioned earlier, is the start button. I'm just as guilty. I'm like, oh man, that workout's going to be really hard. Oh, look, I got to put away some stuff at the school. Or oh, wait, I got to write this lesson. And, oh no, I find myself getting into what I call the never-ending Monday cycle, where it's like, oh, I'll start next Monday, right? Nope. We're starting now. Hit the start button, right? And then once you get moving, a lot of questions kind of disappear. A lot of problems even disappear that you were thinking might show up. And maybe some new ones come up too, right? Because you can't anticipate everything, but at least the more often that you do this, your law of adaptability comes up and you can adapt and roll with the punches. You can solve those problems when they do show up, or you can start anticipating those problems when they show up, which is great. And this, of course, builds confidence. So consistency overall, this time period, right, will build the confidence so that you can do more. The next time you pick up something new or you want to plan for something new, it becomes a lot easier, right? So the short answer is do it, start it, get started right away, and then most of all, stay consistent. Because when we start to waver a little bit on our consistency is where we start to fall back into old habits. And most of the time, things that people want to do are to get better, right? They're wanting either an escape. I used to have a mentor. He said people would only do things to avoid pain or to gain pleasure, right? So If I pick something that's going to make me better, there might be some trials in there. There might be a little struggle in there, but that's how we grow. So we have to learn to embrace that, right? But beyond that, we got to make sure we have some fun. Look at all the high moments. Look at all the excitement. Look at all the milestones that I'm accomplishing along the way of this journey, whatever it is that I chose. And none of that happens without starting. And definitely, it all falls apart without consistency because consistency brings us to discipline. And we need daily discipline every year to be able to do it. So, again, hit the start button, stay consistent, and then use it to jump from one thing to another, meaning not squirrel, right? And jump from one topic to another, but use that energy and that confidence that you've gained from getting close to completing and or completing whatever it is that you're doing to move or transcend into the next thing so that you can keep growing. You might come in with a little bit of knowledge, or you might just be brand new to it, right? It doesn't matter, right? Conference is great because everybody welcomes you with open arms. It's the best. The energy is over the top. I feel recharged every time I come out, and it's a big blessing. So when you're coming in, if you have some knowledge, empty your cup. Come in like a white belt. You don't know anything, right? You'll absorb a lot more because you have less preconceived notions. If you're coming in as a new person and it's your first year, I'll tell you what they used to always tell us when we trained with Bruce Lee's head student best friend. His name is Dan Anasanto. He is like when you train with him, it's similar to putting your mouth on the end of a water hose and turning it on full blast. He's very generous with the knowledge. He's very generous with the information. And if you're coming in new, it's like, okay, I'm maxed out quickly, right? So take notes, look at the notes, review what you can, get all the handouts. And I know you're going to be a little exhausted after the first time, right? Even the first day, first half a day, you're at lunch. Review it, right? Review it. Sit down, start having lunch, look at your notes, look at the handouts, just absorb it. Take 5 minutes, not the whole time. You need to relax and you need to disengage so you can prepare for the next class. But take 5 minutes on your smartphone or your watch, click go, and just review the material so it will help kind of get it in there. And if there's other questions, which you might come up with after the fact the class has ended, right? Then you can write those out, always reach back to the instructor and so forth, or talk to your colleagues and your peers that were in the class. The next best thing is no matter, again, beginner or somebody that's seasoned with conference, is start talking to your group, start talking to your facilitator. And I know several of my ladies have done this before. They do presentations, right, when they have their get-togethers. So they come home, and within the first week, everybody's responsible for making a presentation on something they learned. And so a lot of times they'll message me and say, is it okay if I show some of your improvised weapons? Or, saying, yes, yes, yes. That's what it's all about, right? Because you got to share that knowledge because what does that do? Well, somebody that didn't come from conference, what are they going to do? They're probably going to go next year as they should, right? So which makes a big difference. So whether you're that veteran or that new person, take the notes, get the handouts, review it for 5 minutes at lunch, review it for 5 minutes after conference, then put it away, right? So that you can kind of let your mind rest for a little while because you got more to learn. And then when you bring it back, like we said earlier, get into action for yourself and then for your community, right? And that makes a big difference. But don't expect to retain all of the information, no matter what level you're at. It just doesn't work unless you've been around for a very long time and you have a good reference pool. So let yourself have a little bit of grace. And that's what the notes are for. That's what the handouts are for. That's what communication's for. And then, as they always say, sharing is caring, right? So you going back and sharing with your community is going to be epic, right? So hopefully that helps a little bit. I want to say I'm everywhere, but I'm probably not, but I am in a lot of places, right? So definitely you can always hit the websites. So we have martialwaylegacy.com. So it's like martial arts, but martialwaylegacy.com. So that's the school's website. That coincides a lot with our Instagram and our Facebook and things like that. We have a YouTube channel for Martial Way Legacy. We have Facebook. We have the Instagram, right? So you can check those out because we're always displaying training videos from the school. And I don't like to get up on camera and do a lot. I do some here and there. I'd rather feature my students. I want to empower people that see it and they go, wow, I'm 60 years old and I can do that. Yes, you can. right? So that's always cool. The other platform that we mentioned earlier, coreconceptcoaching.com, that's where we offer a lot of those specialty training programs. That's where we authored the push-up challenge for you. So highly recommend that everybody tries to get involved in the push-up challenge and do that, because I think that it's empowering and it shows that you can chew up something that's 5 or 6 weeks long and set a goal and then accomplish it. And you will be amazed at how much stronger and how much better shape you will be at the end of the push-up challenge. And that's free, right? Why not? Take advantage of it. We have other free challenges up there, and we're developing a few certification programs too with different bases. So I think it's just a great place to be. It allows you to review some of the material at conference. It allows you to progress forward with some of the material at conference. And if you've ever missed anything and you're interested in something, it's there. If you're interested, I know in August, for instance, we're traveling to a couple places that are all girl in a gun hot spots, right? Which is awesome. And so we're actually teaching some seminars. So we should be in August up in Colorado and in Ohio. So stay tuned for that, which will be great. And then we're always available. If you want to bring us out, you want to have us come in and teach 4 or 5 hours wherever you're at, we do travel, and we'd love to do that. So, which is cool. But all the other events get posted up online. So just stay tuned via that. Yes, I was hoping you would ask. I love it. I love it. You remember my joke with Combatives Camp is about almost 3 years ago. I was talking to all the ladies at conference, and I said, I don't want your skills to kind of just stay where they're at the end of today, right? I want to advance us forward year to year. And so I was trying to make myself as available as possible to travel and to come and see them and teach and share with the ladies even that didn't make conference, right? Which is awesome. And so I let them know that I was available for that. And I bugged some of them, and we went out and we had some good trainings, right? Which was awesome. And I thought, man, if I just had more time with them, how can I have more time with them? So my joke is always that, I get my best ideas when I'm in the shower washing my hair. And so I had this idea a couple of years ago. What if we open up our doors and we have all the training pads, we have the mats, we have the training weapons, we have everything. Plus, I've got tons of instructors here that can work with everybody, right? And so I ran the idea by Robin, who I've known before she knew guns, right? She used to be one of my students years ago. And we talked about creating a women's combatives camp. And lo and behold, last year we had our first one, and everybody loved it, right? It was 3 days. We did everything from mindset preparation to all sorts of physical scenarios and topics that we've covered. We introduced a couple of new things, which was great. And we did a little bit of fitness evaluation type stuff to where you could figure out like different types of ways to train for you when you go back home, which was great. And I'm excited to tell you that it's happening again this September. So Labor Day weekend, I believe it's September 4th, 5th, and 6th is our time period. And so we'll be jamming out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at my school here in Austin, Texas. And everybody's welcome to come. I believe we do have a cap on that, though. So we can only fit so many ladies. If I recall right, I think our cap's about 42. And I think we're over 30% booked right now. So I would definitely recommend getting on that. It's extremely affordable to come and train. And there's zero excuses, in my opinion, zero negotiations, right? For those people that are around us. And we have tons of chapters all around us. So there's like hardly any travel time for you. But for the rest of you, we had people traveling from other states for last year's. So definitely plug in. It's something that I think you don't want to miss, especially if you're interested in getting a little bit better knowledge and confidence when it comes to combatives and hand-to-hand self-defense.